What if I told you that the part of yourself you've spent your whole life hiding, the shame, the rage, the fear, the envy, isn't your weakness, it's your weapon. They taught you to suppress it, to silence the voice that wanted to scream, to calm the anger that wanted to destroy, to smile, even when you felt like breaking. But here's the truth. The part of you that scares others is the part that holds your power. And the people who truly win in this world are not those who deny their darkness. They're the ones who learn to control it, to sharpen it, to use it. In this video, we're not here to talk about healing. We're here to talk about warfare, shadow warfare. And by the end, you'll know exactly how to use your darkness to dominate. 1. What is the shadow self? They call it the shadow self, but don't let the name mislead you. This isn't some mythological concept. It's not abstract. It's not philosophical. It's real. It's inside you, and it controls far more than you think. The shadow is everything you hide, everything you deny, everything you were told not to be. The anger you suppress to appear polite, the desire for power you bury to seem humble, the sadness you disguise with a smile, the jealousy you pretend not to feel, the revenge you secretly crave but never admit. You didn't create this shadow. It was created for you by your parents, by your culture, by the systems that wanted you obedient, never dangerous. Carl Jung once said, "The shadow is the person you would rather not be." But here's what he didn't say. That person, the one you buried, is stronger than the version you show to the world. You were conditioned to believe that being good meant being safe. Being acceptable meant being silent. But all that did was turn your deepest power into a threat. Not to others, but to yourself. Every time you explode in rage, every time you sabotage something good, every time you feel weak and don't know why, that's your shadow screaming for control. And if you don't learn how to face it, it will keep running your life behind the scenes. Because make no mistake, the shadow self doesn't disappear. It just waits. It waits for weakness. It waits for silence. And it strikes when you're most unaware. So the question is not, do you have a dark side? You do. The question is, do you know how to use it before someone else does? 2. Why repressing it makes you weak. They told you to be good, to control yourself, to stay calm, to be forgiving, to be agreeable, and they sold it as strength. But here's the truth they never told you. Repressing your darkness doesn't make you strong. It makes you predictable, and predictability is weakness. Because what you suppress controls you, not consciously, but subconsciously. In every decision, every reaction, every emotional response. You think you're in control, but you're not. Your reactions are. Your unprocessed emotions are. Your fear of being judged, of not being accepted, of losing love, that controls you. And the manipulators, they see it, they look for it. They don't attack the version of you that shows up. They attack the version of you you're hiding, the one you refuse to look at, the one that flinches when rejected, the one that craves approval, the one that can't stand silence. Because here's the law of power no one teaches you. The parts of you you're ashamed of are exactly where you can be controlled. Every manipulator understands this instinctively. They don't need to overpower you. They just need to press the button you buried and pretend doesn't exist. You ever wonder why certain people can get under your skin so easily? Why just one sentence from them ruins your entire day? Why they can make you feel small with just a look. It's not about them. It's about what they activate in you. They trigger your shadow. And because you never faced it, you can't defend against it. So you become reactive, emotional, and the moment you react, you lose the game. Now flip the script. Imagine knowing your own darkness, understanding exactly what makes you tick, and more importantly, what makes you snap. Suddenly, no one can manipulate you, because there's no weak spot left to press, no wound left unguarded, no emotion that surprises you. This is why people who repress their shadow always break. They think they're strong until life applies pressure. Then the mask slips. And all the chaos they never dealt with comes crashing out. But the ones who face their shadow, they don't break. They bend, they adjust, they redirect that chaos into something useful. Control. So understand this. Your shadow is not your enemy, but your fear of facing it is. If you don't master it, someone else will. And when that happens, you'll still follow orders, still react, still collapse under pressure, except it won't be your voice guiding you. It'll be theirs. 3. Shadow integration versus shadow weaponization. There are two types of people who confront their darkness. The first want healing, the second want power. Most people stop at integration. They go to therapy, they journal, they meditate, they try to accept their flaws. And yes, it helps. It brings clarity, inner peace, emotional balance. But here's what they don't tell you. Peace doesn't equal power. It only keeps you from self-destruction. But what if you want more than peace? What if you want control? That's where integration ends. And weaponization begins. Weaponizing the shadow means this. You don't just understand your darkness. You use it. Strategically, consciously, calculated. You study your fears, not to heal them, but to recognize when someone else tries to use them against you. You don't just acknowledge your rage. You control it so precisely that it becomes a tool, a switch, one that you flip only when necessary, and with maximum effect. Example: you know you have abandonment wounds. Instead of letting that weakness control your relationships, you become the one who sets the distance. You reverse the polarity. You train yourself to withdraw first, not out of fear, but out of dominance. You turn your weakness into a tactic. Now they chase you. Now they crave you. Now you own the frame. That's shadow weaponization. You recognize your desire for power, not as something shameful, but as something natural. And instead of repressing it, you refine it. You don't control people by shouting. You control them by reading their shadows, by seeing what they hide, and positioning yourself as the mirror they can't escape. Integration is for safety. Weaponization is for strategy. You want to be safe? Acknowledge your pain. You want to be dangerous? Use it. Let me make this clear. This is not about manipulation for sport. This is about defense and dominance in a world where power plays are invisible. Because if you don't weaponize your shadow, someone else will, and they won't hesitate to use yours against you. You've seen this before. That quiet person who always seems calm until they speak. And suddenly, everyone in the room listens. That's not charisma. That's shadow mastery. They've taken the rage, the fear, the coldness, and turned it into precision, into pressure, into presence. The calm ones aren't always kind. Sometimes they're the most dangerous, because they've stopped being controlled by their shadow and started using it like a scalpel. Controlled, silent, surgical. They don't flinch. They don't react. They don't explain. They observe, they study, and when they strike, it's clean, it's final. That's not healing, that's warfare. So choose your path. Do you want to simply feel better? Or do you want to take back control? Because only one of those makes you untouchable. 4. How to use your shadow in social dynamics. Most people walk into a room trying to be liked. They smile, they accommodate, they filter themselves to stay acceptable. But here's the secret. You don't control a room by being likable. You control it by being unreadable, by projecting presence, rooted in shadow. Social dynamics are psychological warfare in disguise, and if you want to dominate the battlefield, you need to bring something most people fear, inner darkness you've already made peace with, because the person who has made peace with their rage can't be provoked. The person who has faced their fear of abandonment can't be manipulated with rejection. The person who understands their envy knows how to disarm jealousy when it's used against them. But it goes further. You can use your shadow to read others, to detect the part of them they hide, their shame, their guilt, their ego wounds, and once you spot it, you can activate it. Say less. Observe more. When they talk too much, ask why they need to explain so hard. When they seek validation, withdraw attention. When they posture with power, stay still and say nothing. You're no longer reacting, you're reflecting. You become a mirror for their shadow, and mirrors make people deeply uncomfortable because they're forced to see the part of themselves they pretend doesn't exist. You want an advantage in negotiation? Make the other person emotionally unstable, not by attacking, but by pressing on the parts they hide. Example. You know someone craves approval. You stay neutral. Give nothing. Make them chase your validation. Suddenly, you control the frame. Or in relationships. You sense their fear of being alone, so you don't over-communicate. You create distance. They interpret it as risk dash and start investing more to pull you closer. This isn't cruelty. This is leverage. It's the difference between being emotionally controlled and becoming emotionally commanding. The person who understands their shadow can provoke without words, control without force, influence without needing attention. And here's what makes it even more dangerous. It's invisible. They won't know what you're doing. They'll just feel off balance, uncertain, drawn to you and afraid of you at the same time. That's power. Because when someone feels emotionally uncentered around you, they seek stability. And if you hold that stability in silence, they follow. Now imagine this power in every room you walk into, every negotiation, every disagreement, every relationship dynamic. You don't have to speak louder, you don't have to prove anything, you just have to control the shadows in the room, starting with your own. And that makes you unstoppable. 5. Shadow warfare. Rules of engagement. Warfare without discipline is just destruction. And when you start using your shadow, there's one rule you need to understand above all. Power without control is self-sabotage. That's why every shadow warrior follows strict principles, not to stay safe, but to stay dominant. Here are the rules of engagement. Rule number 1, know your own shadow before touching theirs. Never go into someone else's mind if you haven't mastered your own. Because if they trigger something you haven't faced, you'll react. And the moment you react, you lose the game. Your silence must be stronger than their scream. Your stillness must outlast their chaos. Only when your shadow is tamed can it be weaponized. Rule number 2, Never use darkness to destroy. Use it to dominate. Destruction is loud. Power is silent. Don't lash out. Don't seek revenge. Use silence. Use absence. Use unpredictability. When you break them quietly, they don't even realize they've lost until it's too late. Remember, the most dangerous weapon is the one they can't see. Rule number 3. Withdraw when the battlefield is emotional. Strike only through structure. If the room is full of chaos, don't speak. If the person is triggered, don't react. If emotions are high, go cold. Power belongs to the one who keeps their center. You don't fight fire with fire. You fight fire with calm, with contrast, with psychological clarity. Master these 3 rules, and your shadow will stop being a liability and become your greatest strategic asset. No one will know why you disarm them, why they feel exposed in your presence, why they crave your validation and fear your silence. They'll sense it, but they won't see it, and that's how you win, without ever needing to fight. CTA. You were never weak. You were just disconnected from your own power. The part of you they told you to hide. The anger, the ambition, the silence, the darkness. That's where your real control begins. They made you fear your shadow, because they knew once you own it, no one owns you. So here's the truth. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become someone they can't manipulate. Master your shadow. Silence your reactions. Study their fears. And move with calculated calm. That's not healing. That's psychological sovereignty. And this was just the beginning. In the next video, we'll break down exactly how people use subconscious triggers to control your behavior, and how to disarm them before they even pull the string. Stay sharp, stay silent, stay in control.